Apples, 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 written and illustrated by Nancy Elizabeth Wallace. Apples, apples, apples. I noticed the trees through the different seasons. See the rabbit family, and they're sitting at their house. One blue sky day in early autumn, Dad asked, "Who wants to go apple picking?" "Me, me," yelled Mina. "Me," shouted Pip. "Me too," said Mom. "Let's go." They walked down the road to Long Hill Orchard. "Glad to see you," said Mr. Miller. "Here are some bags to put your apples in. What kind do you want to pick?" "I want apples for pie," said Dad. "I need apples for crafts," said Mom. "Yum," yelled Pip. "I'm going to pick apples for my snack at school." Mina whispered, "I want apples for a surprise." "Come look at this chart," said Mr. Miller. "It shows the kinds of apples we grow in our orchard." This is a chart like we see in math. Long Hill Orchard. Varieties. It tells you the different kinds of apples they have and what they're good for. They have Red Delicious, Golden Delicious, McIntosh, Granny Smith, Rome Beauty. And it tells you if they're good for eating, cooking, baking, if they're sweet, tart, soft, or crisp. It's kind of like a graph in that it organizes information for you. "I can't wait to see the apple tree," said Mina. "Climb aboard," said Mr. Miller. They all climbed onto the farm wagon. Mr. Miller started up the tractor. "Hold on," he said. "It's a bumpy, bumpy ride." The sky was blue. The air smelled crisp and clean. It was a great day for picking apples. When they got to the orchard, there were apples everywhere. Pip tugged on an apple. The limbs shook and lots of apples fell to the ground. "Uh-oh." "Try lifting and twisting the apple," said Mina. "Then pull it gently. I read that in my apple book." "Look, Mina," said Pip. "Lift, twist, pluck. I can do it. Lift, twist, pluck." They all picked and picked and picked. Mr. Miller used a special tool for picking the apples that were hard to reach. He let Mina and Pip have a turn. Then Mr. Miller picked up an apple from the ground. He cut it in half. "It looks like a star inside," said Pip. Mina said, "I think it looks like a flower." "It looks like both a star and a flower," said Mr. Miller. In fact, apples are a member of a flower family, the rose family. They counted the seeds. "There may be as many as 10 seeds inside an apple," said Mr. Miller. "How many seeds do you see?" "5," said Mina. Mr. Miller cut another apple in half, a different way. "Look at all the parts an apple has," he said. "You can see the stem, skin, core, flesh." "Do you know that seeds are also called pips?" asked Mr. Miller. Mina pointed at Pip. They both giggled. Do you remember we learned in math that the dots on dice and dominoes are also called pips? "Mr. Miller, do you grow trees from seeds?" Mina asked. "Well, apple trees can be grown from seeds." He took pictures from his pocket and showed them. The seed, the bud, and the root. And that's just a picture of the root. They can be grown the way we grow them at Long Hill Orchard. We graft a branch with buds on a rootstock. He showed them more pictures. It means they take parts of a branch, and then they put it on to a rootstock. We learned in that video that they do that so that they can know what kind of apple tree they're going to get. Because if you grow apples from seeds, the seeds are wild and you don't know what kind of apple tree will grow. So they graft the trees at orchards so that they can know what kind of tree they're going to get. Mina and Pip looked at the shiny seeds. "I'll be Johnny Appleseed," said Mina. "I read about him. He planted lots and lots and lots of seeds across America. They grow into apple orchards everywhere. Look, Mina, I'm Johnny Apple Pip." He's planting a seed. When their bags were filled to the top, they rode back down the hill. "Hold on," said Mom. Bump, bump. "Whoa!" Mina laughed. "Hold on to your apples." Mr. Miller weighed the bags of fruit so that he would know how much to charge. "Apple picking is fun," said Mina. "So is apple eating," said Dad. Looks like Dad also bought an apple pie. Over here, he looks like they're selling apple cider and apple butter and apple jelly and apple pie. All different kinds of apple things that they're selling at that apple orchard. The bears are back home. When they got home, they had an apple sack. The apples tasted sweet and juicy. Mina looked through her book. "Here it is," she said. "Here's the surprise recipe I want us to try." "Time to make Mina's surprise recipe," said Dad. Pip washed the apples. Mina and Mom used a special tool to peel them. Dad sliced and diced them. They washed the apples, they peeled the apples, they cut the apples, they added maple syrup and apple cider, and they added some cinnamon. I wonder what they're making. They put the apples, the maple syrup, the cider, and the cinnamon into the big blue pot. Then Mom put it on the stove to simmer. That means kind of like cook at a low heat. It smelled delicious. When it was ready, Mina spooned it into bowls. "Who wants some?" she asked. Me, said Pip. "Me," said Mom. "Me too," said Dad. They all said, "Yum, applesauce." Mina wanted to make applesauce. Mina read more about apples. She learned how to make apple prints. She made apple stars out of the apple core when she cut it. She put it in paint and made like a picture. Mina read about apple sayings. "An apple a day keeps the doctor away." Apple pie order. "The apple doesn't fall far from the tree." "An apple for the teacher." "You are the apple of my eye." "You are full of applesauce." And some apple songs. Mina learned lots of things about apples. These pictures show what an apple tree looks like through the different seasons. Apples, 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 written and illustrated by Nancy Elizabeth Wallace.